Welcome to WeVideo Wednesday here at Chromeworks COVID Computer Camp. We're going to be doing something fun today. We're going to be showing the different connections between Scratch and WeVideo. We're going to be moving material from Scratch out to WeVideo, and we're going to be taking material from WeVideo back to Scratch. So basically integrating those two programs and showing how they can work together in harmony, which is the way we should all be working, isn't it? Let's go to our live screen here. We're going to be starting in Scratch, so you're going to need a Scratch window and a WeVideo window open. There we go, we're in Scratch. Now I've loaded up an element called a rocket ship here, and you'll be able to find that under Choose a Sprite, and then click on the magnifying glass. Now, there's a bunch of space stuff in here. You can always search in this top window here, in the search window, for stuff that you're looking for. So I just typed in space, and then it showed me a bunch of different options. They've got some astronauts and stuff. You don't have to do the exact same project that I'm doing here. Really, what I'm going to be doing, and let me give you an overview, is I'm going to take this rocket ship, I'm going to put it into Scratch and program it moving across the screen from left to right. And then we're going to take that, bring it into WeVideo, and put it against a real planet Earth background rather than a cartoon one. And so it's going to look a little bit like a fancier cartoon. And we're going to have some sound effects like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown and some stuff that we can do much easier in a video editor. You could do all of this in Scratch if you wanted to, but sometimes you want to incorporate elements of animation into your video projects. And I'm just teaching you how to do that today. So I've grabbed a rocket ship. I clicked on it, and I've already got it loaded up here. There's a bunch of different costumes for it. Let's go look at its costumes. So we have 5 costumes that basically give the appearance that your ship is spinning around. The bottom one, Rocket Ship E, we don't really want because it doesn't have the rocket elements on it. So we're going to trash it right now. Let's just go trash it. Now I've got 4 different spaceship elements, and you can see as we flip through them, it will look like the spaceship is spinning, which is, I think, looks really good in WeVideo. If you have a static thing that's not moving around, then it's not going to be that exciting. Let's go with what we have here now, and if you guys are interested in trying your own experiments with this, I'd love to see what you come up with anyway. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're giving this guy directional commands, but this is one of the few sprites inside Scratch that is not set up properly. To work properly in Scratch with directional commands, you need everything to be pointing to the right when it starts, and this guy is not pointing to the right, he's pointing up. So we're going to have to turn him to the right to make sure he's properly positioned. So I've got my black arrow tool selected here, and I'm going to draw a big loop around the entire image so that the whole thing is selected. Now I can rotate it with this little rotator knob at the bottom here, but the problem is it's very imprecise. I'm trying to get it facing to the right, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get 90 degrees. I might get 85, 86, 87 degrees. So let's undo that. I'm going to show you a little trick. This works in almost any graphic editing program. So I'm going to grab that bottom knob, but now I'm going to hold down the Shift key. And watch what happens. It constrains your mouse so that you can only move in 45-degree angles. If I try to go in between, it just won't let me. So if I hold down that Shift key and turn it, I will be sure it's in the right spot. Now these images are all at different height, or now width, now that we've turned it. So to make sure that they all line up with each other when we change the animation from one to the other, we have to make sure that they're positioned properly compared to the center of the screen. There's our center right there, that little crosshairs there. So I'm going to make the little tippy of my spaceship just touch that crosshair and do it for every single one of the animations. Then when we cycle through the animations, it's all going to look like they all belong to the same animation instead of it kind of popping around and teleporting from one part of the screen to the other. Okay, I'm going to go do that for the rest of my animations here. I'll hold down my Shift key, spin it to the right, move it over so that the tippy is touching the crosshair. And I'm going to do that 2 more times. You guys can feel free to follow along with me, or I will save this file if you just want to have the finished file to start working on. There we go. And one last one. Shift key, turn, move it over to the crosshair. Beautiful. And so now we've got all our animations set up. You can see how, as I cycle through those, it looks a lot like the spaceship is spinning, which looks really cool. Okay, so we're good to go with this. Let me save my file. So anyone who wants to just have the graphics set up and doesn't want to do it themselves can load that up right now in my YouTube audience. All right, so now we have to do some quick coding to get this thing moving properly. So let's get a green flag. Let's go to our events, green flag. Let's magnify this a little bit. And first of all, we want to get it positioned right off the screen. We're going to shrink it and we're going to move it off and we're going to tilt it at a little bit of an angle. So we're just going to set everything up properly. I've already figured out all these numbers, so just follow what I do here. We're going to go to our motion blocks. We're going to grab a go to the XY command, which will give it its initial position. And I'm going to make it minus 325 for my X, and my Y is going to be minus 100. So when I click the green flag, that's going to take it almost off the screen, you can see. And the other thing is we're going to shrink it down to a tiny size. We're going to set size. So let's go to our looks menu. We'll grab set size to it. It says 100% right now. We're going to set it to 1% because this thing's taking off from planet Earth and then flying into orbit. So what we want to do is have it start off small and appear to be getting bigger as it gets closer to us. Okay, now let's go and we'll add a forever loop here. We're going to just have it cycle through its animation. We need two streams of this program. One of them is going to control the animation, and the other one's going to control the movement. We don't want it all in one because every time, because then we won't be able to control the speed of the animation. We're going to want to put a delay in between every frame, and if we do that with the motion, then the motion's going to stutter the same way that the animation does. So that's a no-no. Let's go to our looks menu right here, and we will grab the block that says next costume, which is the 5th one down, I think. Next costume, pop it in there. And then we wanted to add a delay. So let me show you what this looks like. I'll drag it to the edge of the screen here. You'll see that when I click the green flag, it just goes back anyway, no matter what I do. And I've shrunk it down to whoa, I shrunk it down to 1%. That's no good. Let's get it back to its normal size again. And we will drag it back to the middle. And you can see what it looks like right now. It's spinning, but way too fast. It's on steroids here. So let's slow it down a bit. I'm going to go to my control blocks, grab a wait 1 second command, and pop that in underneath here. Now it's going too slow. So we're going to have to go less than 1 second. I'm going to suggest 0.2 seconds. That looks pretty smooth to me. What do you guys think? All right. Let's go save. Now, that's the first part. Now we need to get the movement going. So we're shrinking down. I'm going to change this back to 1% because I actually do want it at 1%. And then I'm just going to slide over to the side here and add a new block. Now, this thing is going to be sitting on the launch pad ready for takeoff. And what we're going to do to get it into WeVideo is we're going to use the screen capture software in WeVideo to capture this thing. The problem is if I click the green flag and then go over to WeVideo and tell WeVideo to start capturing, the timing's not going to be right. So I'm going to make this movement not start until I hit the space bar on the keyboard. And that way I'll be able to control when it starts and make sure my video is rolling before I actually capture the footage. Now, there's one other thing we're going to have to do here. So what do you guys think? When we bring this into WeVideo, how are we going to remove this background? Does anyone in the chat have any suggestions about what we're going to do here? I'm kind of interested in whether anyone has guessed this. So I'm going to go grab a when space key pressed command. If anyone on Discord has a suggestion either, I know what I'm going to do. I just want to know if you guys can guess. So point in direction. Let's go. We'll go to our motion blocks. Hey, Abby.
Are you gonna use like the eyedropper tool to get rid of it, the white?
Well, we can, but there's some white in our image already as well, right? So as soon as we use the eyedropper tool and WeVideo to get rid of the white, we're going to make our windows transparent as well. That will probably work fairly well, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to put a fake green screen behind our footage in Scratch. So you got the right idea. We're not going to stick with the white because it's just so much easier to use green like professionals do. But yeah, good work, Abby. You figured it out. All right, so when space key pressed, we're going to get our motion going for this rocket ship. So let's go point in direction 90, which is our direction command here. We're not going to leave it at 90 though. We're going to set it to 45 degrees. So I'm just going to type in 45, or you can spin this slider wheel over to 45 if you really feel like it. Now let's grab a forever loop. And we're going to tell our thing to every time it cycles through the loop, we're going to get it to change its size. So we're going to go change it by just a little bit, like 0.5, so that it's going to take 200 cycles for it to get from 1% all the way up to 100%. So we want it to grow quite slowly. So let's go change size, which is in our looks menu. We'll go change size. There it is. It's called change size by 10 on the screen here. There we go, change size by 0.5. There you go. And then we're also going to turn just a little bit. We want the thing to go up in the air and then start kind of arcing down the way that things look when they're in orbit, right? So we're going to grab a turn command under motion. I'm going to go to my blue motion blocks, grab a turn 15 degrees block and pop it in there and change that number to 0.2. And we want it to move fairly slowly, so I'm going to grab a move 10 steps block and change it to move 2 steps. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I'll click the green flag. Let's maximize it. Click the green flag. And there's our tiny little spaceship starting way on the edge. You can barely see it there. I actually want it to be right off the screen. Maybe I should start the exposition a little bit further over because I want it to be right off the screen. Let's try minus 350. For my X. Oh, a little bit more, 360 maybe. I don't think it'll go any further off the screen than that. So we'll just stick with 350. Scratch doesn't let you position stuff off the screen, so the best you can do is kind of have it going halfway off like that. Okay, let's maximize our window. The green flag is still clicked, and so when I'm ready to start filming, I just have to hit the space bar, and there goes my rocket, blasting off into orbit. Super cool. So you see, it didn't take very much code to get something really quite cool looking going here. And then it goes off the other edge. And then it is gonzo. Beautiful. So we've got a nice little scene here that lasts about 5 or 6 seconds that we can use for our animation. Now we just have to go ahead and get that green screen effect going. So I'm going to click on my backdrops. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my screen, and instead of picking a backdrop, I'm going to paint one. I'll click on my paintbrush. And now you can draw a big box here that's green, but we're going to instead convert to bitmap mode, which is going to let us use our paint bucket tool to fill with a color. You see when I click, it just automatically fills with a color. So let's pick a nice green color. I'm going to give you some readings here. So let's drag all our sliders over to the right except for the top one. And we're going to go grab a nice, bright, bold green color. This one looks good. Around 30 or so for your color is about where you want. So 30, 100, 100 will give you a nice shade of green. There we go. So we can get a fairly professional green screen look here because we're inside a computer. We don't have to worry about lighting and stuff, which is really nice. Okay, back to the code again. And we are basically ready to go. I'm going to maximize this, click the green flag, and when it's time to start recording our video, I can just hit the space key, and that will start working exactly like we want it to. So we've got everything set up for our beautiful animation. Let's stop, and we're going to go back to WeVideo, and I'm going to take some questions from my audience on YouTube now as well. So we're back. We've recorded our video, and now we've imported it into WeVideo, and let's see what it looks like. All right, so it's appeared in our timeline here. Let's hit the play button. And you can see it takes a few seconds to get going. So we'll want to cut that first couple of seconds out of the video. It's not really doing anyone any good. There it is. So it's right around 6 or 7 seconds that it starts. So I'm just going to use my scissors and snip it right at that spot. And now we've got our video set up. Let's get rid of that green screen before we add anything else. You guys remember that to get rid of green screen, we can go into the properties of this clip. So once the clip is on your timeline, you can just double click it. A little menu will pop up here with different options. Options for changing the size. If for some reason this isn't fitting on your screen, you can shrink it or grow it here. In fact, we want it a little bigger than the normal size here so that those edges don't appear. We don't want this stop or green flag to be here. So if you're dropping stuff into WeVideo like this, you'll want it to be sized so you can't see any of the elements. Now other graphic design programs like like iMovie and Adobe After Effects and that kind of stuff, they will allow you to mask out to get rid of the parts of the image that you don't want. But WeVideo doesn't have that sophistication, so you're going to have to just blow stuff up to get rid of those edges. It looks like there's a gray edge around the border here too. That's not going to disappear with a green screen either, so we're going to have to keep blowing it up. WeVideo actually made the right call when it sized this for me, and it got rid of those gray edges. So that's about where I want it to look. And let's play it again and make sure it's still fitting on the screen. We can still slide it up or down based on where we want it here. So let's have a look at what this looks like right now. We want to make sure it doesn't go off the top of our screen. Yeah, that's looking fine now, so I don't think that'll be a problem. That's beautiful. Okay, if you wanted to, so let me say, first of all, now we want to get rid of that green screen. So we've got these buttons across the top here. The fourth one over is the one that controls green screen. It has a little picture of a guy on it. It's called color keying. Now, I've shown this to you guys before. All we have to do is grab this eyedropper tool and select the green. So we're telling it to erase everything green on the screen. And now we've got a nice transparent background that we can put anything else we want to against, and that's looking really nice. Okay, so I'm going to save my changes. Now we can go looking for a background here. So I'm going to go back to my stock media at the star button here. There's a whole bunch of stock media here. And I'm going to type in like Earth orbit, which is the kind of video I'm looking for here. And let's see what we have that looks really cool. I could preview some of these. Well, that's not quite right. I think I want one that's looking a little farther away from planet Earth. Like, no, that one's no good. One that kind of has the Earth pressed up in the corner. I know I've saw some stuff like that yesterday. Something like this, for example. No, but these aren't. Okay, I know let me type in. Yesterday I was looking at some of these things and I found some nice ones. Oh, that's satellite. That's not going to get me there. Earth from space. And yeah, one of these, I think. Let's look at this one. That's nice, except it has a spaceship in the foreground. If anyone else sees something really nice that they want to suggest, I'm looking, so the spaceship is taking off from here, so it kind of has to go, so the Earth has to be on the left side of the screen. I guess we can flip it around if we need to. That one looks kind of cool. I don't know whether we want the Earth. This one's kind of cool too. I think we're going to go with this one. This one looks really cool, eh? All right, so this one is called Realistic Planet Earth from Space. And we're going to use that one then. So let's drag it in. We'll put it in underneath our spaceship. Back to the beginning of the film, basically. Oh, I tried to drag it into an audio stream, and that's no good. Actually, I've got to have the spaceship on top, so I'm going to drag it up, and then it will bring the planet Earth down below it. There we go. Now we want it to fade in, so I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to go to the second button over, which is animations, and I'm going to click on the fade button at the bottom here, and we'll have it fade in and out. So we're just going to go with the default settings, and that will fade in. Okay, beautiful. Oh, that is not the one that I was looking at a second ago, eh? Realistic Planet Earth from Space. It was this one that doesn't zoom in. Yeah, I don't want it zooming in like that. Okay, again, we'll go and make it fade in, save. Now I also want a little blast off sound, so I'm going to type in countdown. And I'm only looking for audio effects. It says that there's nothing here. I'm pretty sure there is an audio effect here that we can use. So let's try this again. Sometimes it doesn't report the right things. No, there's nothing called, oh, I did countdown. Countdown. And we're looking only at audio effects. Good. So
3, 2, 1.
that's okay.
Countdown. Start.
No.
10,
No.
10.
No. This is the one I want. Okay. Now we don't want the whole thing. We're going to start it off maybe at about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to drag the file over, make it a little shorter.
5, 4, 3.
Okay, that's good. So we're going to pop that in there. Now I want a spaceship sound in there as well. I don't have room here because it's going to overlap a little bit with my other audio clip. So I'm going to go add another audio layer. I'm going to click on this little plus, and then we'll add an additional audio layer. I'm going to click on audio. And so now I have two places where I can put my sound effects so they're allowed to overlap with each other. I'm going to type launch, and we'll try to find a launch sound. Shuttle launch countdown, explosive space launch. That sounds pretty good. Launching wishes, futuristic. Let's see this one, low jet whoosh, explosive space launch. That's cool, except it's got multiple stages, which we don't have in our rocket. Let's go with explosive space launch. That's cool. I hope it's long enough. Well, it's pretty short, eh? I guess the rocket launch wouldn't make noise except at the very beginning. So let's put it right here where our rocket launch is starting, and let's see what this looks like now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Hey, that's kind of neat, eh? So we might want to go with some kind of additional sound effect here that's kind of like a spaceship passing by sound. Anyway, so there's a little more playing around you can do with this, guys. But so there you go. That's how we bring something in from Scratch and use it in a WeVideo project. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Now, when we're done, we can click Finish to export the film and give it a title. I'll just go call it Launch for now. We'll go Set. I would want to make this part of a bigger movie. I'm going to say HD, and let's just export this. And so it'll take a couple of minutes to export. Once it's done, this window will update, and you'll be able to get it to download it to your own computer. And you can use it in your other video editing projects if you want, or share it, or post it, or whatever it is that you want to do with it. Okay, so we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and look at ways to bring WeVideo back into Scratch again, and that's going to be really cool as well. So stand by for that. So here I am. I've got my handy little, I've found a stock image of a nerd. He's wearing a tinfoil hat, and I've isolated just the part where he's raising his hand. As I was saying earlier when we were offline, we just want anything we bring to Scratch to be very, very short. So in this case, I've only picked about 1 second worth of video. I'm going to drag that down here and put it into my video editor. It's only a 2-second clip, so it shouldn't take long to render at all. I'm actually going to go ahead and render that. Then I'm going to go ahead and render a different image. We're going to take a couple of things and bring them into Scratch. So I'm going to go Finish. And I'm going to call this tinfoil hat. And I'll export it in high res. And I will go Export. Now I'm going to go back to my project again. I don't really need to save that. I'm going to click on the Back to Editor button. Oh, I missed that. So I'll just go back and edit this clip. Now I'm going to get rid of him. And I'm going to search for another one with a picture of a guy pointing. Bearded man pointing. So I typed into my search window bearded man pointing, and we're getting this green screen shot here. I wanted to show you what green screen stuff looks like when we bring it into Scratch. It does not work because when we export the video, WeVideo does not know how to take a background and make it transparent. So we could bring this in and remove the background, but it's still not going to help very much. So I'll show you an example of that later. It's not going to make a lot of sense right now. So I am going to leave the green screen here. I'm not going to get rid of it. And I just want, again, a little tiny bit of this video. So there's a part here where he goes like this. It's about 2/3 of the way into the film. And I just want that part of the clip. Again, I'm going to grab just about 2 seconds of him pumping his arms up and down like that. And we're going to kind of loop that inside Scratch. So there we go. You see what I got there? Just him going like that. Okay, beautiful. Now let's export that video. So let's go Finish. Oh, I haven't dragged it into the clip yet. I got to drag my little clip in, my 2-second clip here. There we go. Now I can finish it. Of course, you can't finish a movie that hasn't started yet. I'll go Finish HD, and I will call this, the preview is still showing me the old tinfoil hat, but it will update. Don't worry about that. And we'll just call this Pointing Guy. I'm going to export it. There we go, that's queued now. And I want to find one more element that I'm going to bring into my Scratch, and that's going to be called a, we're going to, how did I do that? Oh, we're going to grab one more element that we're just going to get out of Google instead. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new tab here. And I'm going to find a disco ball. I want to show you guys how to grab stuff that's not in WeVideo. You should know that anything that's an animated GIF, we can bring into Scratch. So I'm going to go looking for animated GIF files, and it's not letting me type in here, eh? What's going on? I'm having a little bug here. When I go full screen, it doesn't let me type. Okay, so let's try this then. So I will type disco ball. There we go. Now we need to filter this list here. We're in Google Images, so I'm going to click on Images, which will get us into the actual Google Images interface here. And now I want to make sure I'm only getting images with a transparent background. So I'm going to go to my Tools menu at the top here. Tools. And then under Color at the top here, this little menu appears. I'm going to say look only for transparent images. And look only under Type here. We're going to look for images that have a GIF which means an animation built into them. All right, so we can click on any of these to preview them. Let's look at this one. Now we want one that's actually spinning. Or did that? This one I think works. Yeah, there we go. So there's a big golden spinning disco ball. I'm going to right click on it, go Save Image As. And we're going to save this into a folder that I have set up here. So we're going to go, oh, you guys don't really care about my folder structure here. I'm just going to go Projects, here's my Scratch video. I already have it saved here. I think this is the exact same image, so we're not going to worry about it. I am also going to have to download my other images, and and let's go do that right now just so I can show you the process. So I'm going to go back to WeVideo now, which is tab 3. Let's go to Exports, which is this button at the top here. And we should be able to find our videos that we've already done. My exports, and they're not there. Oh yeah, here's Nerd. And the guy wagging his finger doesn't appear to be done yet. Maybe I didn't process it properly, but I'm going to download the Nerd. I'm just going to go Download in max resolution, Download. And I'm going to save it to that same folder, which is e-learning, WeVideo, projects, Scratch video, and I'll call it Nerd. And I already have an image there, so I'm going to replace it. Sure, go ahead. All right, now I'm going to show you how to remove the background from this. We're going to go to a new web page that is called unsplash.com or unscreen.com. Sorry, unscreen.com. So if you can go over to that website. So Unscreen is part of a bigger website called remove.bg. It's a program that can remove the background from almost any image, and it does amazing work. It'll get the stuff between the hair. Look at this preview here, guys. You can see what an amazing job it does removing backgrounds of stuff. It does it in videos, but the unscreen.bg version does it in photographs as well. And all we have to do is go upload a clip, and it will find it and remove the background for us automatically. So I'm going to click Upload a Clip. I'm going to point it to the project that I was just showing. Sorry, I'm going to go to ChromeWorks, e-learning, WeVideo, projects, Scratch video. I'm going to bring in my Nerd again. So here's my nerd.mp4. It's going to automatically do all the work for me. Watch, it's just magical. And there it is. It removed that. It used its own artificial intelligence to find all the background, and it did it without any effort at all. It was really spectacular. This is a super cool program, guys. I'm telling you, I've been working with this stuff for years, and I've never seen anything that removes backgrounds this nicely. So let's go download as a GIF, and then we can import that into Scratch. Okay, so we'll go Nerd Unscreen. And we'll replace the other one there. So I'll just show you how that works. Okay, I'm going to do the other image as well. So I'm going to go upload a new clip, and I will do the second guy, the guy wagging his finger. I'm not sure which one it was I exported here. So I'm just going to go grab this one here called Waggy. I did the same project over and over again. So here's the guy wagging his fingers against the green screen. It automatically got rid of the green screen for me. And now I can download that as well as a GIF. It should remember the old location. And yeah, we're still in the same place. So I'm going to go Waggy Final or Waggy Finger. We'll go Waggy Finger, save. Okay. So now we've got all our raw materials together. We have our disco ball, we have our weird hipster guy pointing his finger, and we've got our other guy waving with his tinfoil hat. So we've got a bit of a nerd convention going here. Let's go back to Scratch again. I'm going to use the same project I was working on before. I'm just going to hide some of the elements here. So I'll just hide the rocket ship. And I'll just change my backdrop back to, well, I'm going to add a new backdrop anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to switch this back to white again, just to make everything clean. What time is it? Just about 11 o'clock. So I'm going to be about 10 more minutes, guys. As usual, I'm running a little bit over, but I think we should be fine. Okay, so let's import these objects into Scratch now. So I'm going to... let's maximize my screen. I'm going to go down to the import or to the new sprite button at the right hand side here. I'm going to go upload sprite. And that will let me bring something in from outside. And I'm going to go grab waggyfinger.gif. And so when you try to bring a GIF file or any kind of animated file into Scratch, if it accepts it, what it does is it brings it in as a bunch of costumes. Now, this unscreen program is not capable of doing big images. It will, but you have to pay for it. So this is about all the size we're going to get out of it. Scratch is pretty forgiving, though. If we blow this up a little bit, like 150%, it really doesn't look that bad, especially when it's in motion. I think you'll see that it looks pretty good. So there's my waggy finger guy. Let's go over to his costumes, and you'll see that he has a different costume for every little part of his finger wag. It doesn't look like he's moving much at the beginning, and so when I did this little screen capture, I probably got too many frames of animation. We don't want to have too many frames here. It looks like we're to about scene 14 here before we actually start moving. So I'm going to get rid of the first bunch of frames that we really don't need, because we don't want him sitting there like that. We want him to be in constant motion. So I'm going to get rid of about 13 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we go. And now we only have animations of him moving his fingers. Let's go back to our code, and we will start coding this guy. So there's really not much to it. I'm just going to tell him to go next costume with my green flag. So let's go green flag. We'll go to our control blocks, grab a forever, and go to our looks blocks and grab a next costume. And let's look at what this guy looks like when he's animated. Hey, that's pretty cool, huh? What do you guys think of that? All right. So if you want to slow it down, you can add a little delay there. Let's see what that looks like with a 0.1 second delay. You don't want a big delay with these things, so 0.1. Green flag. That's a bit slow, eh? It looks slow motion-y. It depends what you want. Let's try 0.05, which is half that speed. Yeah, that looks a little more natural. Or you can just go with 0, right? 0 works as well. Makes them a little bit faster. I think I like 0.05 myself. So you just play around with these settings and get whatever you like. So there's our first hipster guy. I'm going to take advantage. Let's get some other stuff going here. I'm going to get some him talking. We're going to use Scratch's interface to have him say something. So we're going to get another loop going here. Let's go to our events. We'll go when green flag clicked. Control forever. Okay, we had a little break there. We're going to take our hipster guy now, and we're going to continue to code him. We're going to use Scratch's looks commands to make him say something with a little speech bubble. Since we have him in Scratch, we might as well take advantage of that. So let's get right to it. Okay, so I've got a when green flag forever set up here, and inside there, I'm going to tell him under my looks command, I'll get him to say for 2 seconds. I'm just going to get him to say, this guy, exclamation mark for 2 seconds. Then I'm going to get him to pause for another 2 seconds. Or we could have him pause for a random time if you were feeling wacky. Let's shrink this a little bit so you can see the whole screen. And so our guy, when I click the green flag, is going to say, this guy, over and over again. It's just a fun little animation that we're making here, guys. I also want a little soundtrack. I'm going to do it inside this track. We could really do it anywhere, but I'm going to go to my sounds. I'm going to load up a new sound, choose a sound. And I'm going to find something. There's a bunch of funky beats in here, but there's one called trap beat. So that's what we're going to use. You can use your own if you want. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to play that song on an endless loop too. So we'll just go when green flag clicked, forever. Play that sound. So we're going to go start or play sound until done. Remember, if you go start sound here, it's just going to repeat the beginning instead of playing the whole sound. So now we got our guy getting funky here. That looks good. Okay, now let's bring in our nerd. So I'm going to import another character. Let's go. Well, actually, I'm going to import my disco ball next. Let's go choose a sprite. Oh, no, I can't go choose a sprite. I have to load a sprite here. So let's go upload a sprite. We're going to find our disco ball. I'll bring that in. I will position it at the top of the screen. It's a little bit big. So let's uncrunch things here a little bit. We'll move it to the top and we'll change it to maybe 70%. What does that look like? That's pretty good. Move it to the top of the screen. We don't have to position it because we're not going to do anything with it. And all we have to do with this is have it animate. So we're going to go forever looks next costume. There we go. Green flag. There we go. We got our disco ball going there now. That's beautiful. This is a dumb project, guys. It's just me. It was me fooling around last night trying to come up with something cool that used video from WeVideo. So I just started looking for stuff. Let's bring our nerd in now. Upload sprite. And here's our nerd unscreened. And we'll put him here. We'll blow him up a little bit too. Let's make him 150%. So he's going to be kind of in the foreground here. He's a little bigger than the other guy. And he is going to raise his hand up in the air. And we're going to code him to raise his hand up. Then we're going to reverse the video and have it go back down again. It's a way to make the file a little bit smaller, right? So I'll show you how to do that quickly. We'll go to our events. We'll go green flag, forever. Then we're going to go switch our costume to the first costume in the list here, which is just called Nerd Unscreen. Then, how many frames of animation do we have here? We're going to go to our costumes. We'll count the number of frames. We got 38 frames here, so our loop is going to have to go from the first frame 37 times to make the guy start waving. So we're going to go Control. We'll grab a repeat 10 loop. So that'll repeat 37 times for all our costume changes, and in every one of those we're going to go next costume. So let's go to our looks menu. We'll grab a next costume. There we go. And then when we're done, we want to go backwards. So I'm going to show you guys how to run the film backwards. It's kind of fun. We're going to grab another repeat block. We're going to repeat 37 times over again. And then we're going to tell it to switch costume. So we're going to go to looks. We're going to grab a switch costume command, but we're going to put some math in there to make it play it over again. So we're going to grab a minus sign. So we're going to go to our operators. We'll grab a minus sign. And we're going to go do this based on the costume number. We're going to say the costume number -1, which will run the costume backwards, basically, from where it is. So I need something that says costume number. We'll go to our looks. And there's a little bubble down here that says costume number. I'll pop that into the first hole. And I'll say -1. So that will just run the film backwards. Let's see what that looks like, guys. We'll maximize our screen. That's pretty funny. All right, one more weird thing I was going to do, and this isn't really part of the lesson, but I want to show you guys how to add a funky background here. So I'm going to draw a new sprite. I'm just going to draw 4 squares on the screen. We don't want an outline. I'll draw my first, so they're all going to be coming from the middle. I'll draw a green square here. Actually, I'll just copy this I'm going to click it with my black arrow. I'll copy it and paste it and move it over here. Then I'll paste it again and move it down here. You don't want any gaps between it, so they all have to be touching each other. And then I'll paste one more time. All right, so we got 4 squares here. Let's change the colors of these. We're going to make a bunch of primary colors. So let's go with a bright blue for one of them. We'll go, so I'm using my paint bucket tool to paint these guys. I'll go with a red for another one. And then I'll find a nice yellow for the third one. That looks pretty good. All right, so we got this funky background. I think I have to adjust it a little bit here to get it looking good. All right, we're looking good right now. It's not properly centered. We'll fix that in a second. So let's go to our code. We're going to go when green flag clicked. This is going to be the pièce de resistance, guys, the thing that's going to make it totally wacky. The first thing we have to do is this is in front of our character, so let's move it to the back. I'll go to my looks menu. I'm going to say go to back layer. There we go. We want to center this. So we're going to have to change the size of it as well, eh? So let's change the size. Let's set the size to, where's my size? Set size to quite a bit bigger. Let's make it like 150%. And there it is in the background. We want it all to be growing out of the middle of the disco ball. So that's one of the reasons that I made it bigger, so that it wouldn't, so that when I moved it up, the white edge wouldn't be visible there. And then I'm going to tell, so I need to tell it to go to a different position. I'm going to go grab a go to command for my movement. The X can be 0 because we want this centered, but my Y, let's try like 100. Let's make my X a little bit over, like an X of 20 or something. We want it basically behind the disco ball, or I could move the disco ball around if I wanted to. There we go. And now we're going to do something inside a loop here. We're going to go forever. We're going to go turn. So we'll go to our motion. We're going to spin this around. We'll tell it to move, to turn 5 degrees. And we're going to get it to change its color effect. So I'm going to go to my looks. I'm going to go change color effect by 25, whatever. All right, so let's see what this looks like, guys. Oh, my size is still not right, eh? I think that I need to make this a little bigger. Let's try 170. The reason I said that is because I don't want this white visible underneath when I start spinning this around. Let's click the green flag and we'll see what kind of crazy creation I've made here. All right. I don't know quite what this is. It's a little demented. What do you guys think? Samir, I hope you guys had fun with that project. I think it's a little goofy, but I think there's some real potential to do cool stuff inside Scratch using videos and cool stuff inside WeVideo using Scratch stuff. So now you know how to move stuff back and forth, I hope. If you have any questions, drop me an email or something, and I'll happily go over them, or talk to me on Discord, and I'll help you guys sort it out. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing something different again. I'm going to teach you guys a little bit more about how to draw in Scratch. So we're going to be drawing a cool robot bit by bit. I'm going to teach you all the different methods that we use to do a nice looking character that looks really professional. And then when we're done drawing him, the next day we are going to, so this will take us through the end of the week, I'm going to teach you how to animate it. We're going to rig him up for animation, and we're going to create a whole bunch of poses. And then next week, we're going to take our new robot character and we're going to bring it into Scratch and use it to do a little bit more digital storytelling. So it's going to be a kind of multi-part project where we're building something from scratch in Scratch, and then using it to build a story basically inside Scratch. I think it's going to be a fun project, so I'm looking forward to that. I will see you guys tomorrow.